What if the world's most valuable company controlled empires and kings? The shocking truth behind the Dutch East India Company. In 1602, the Dutch government issued a charter for an unprecedented entity that would change global trade forever. The Verenigde East Indisch Company, or VOC, was born, a powerful trading company with sovereign privileges. With its own army and navy, the VOC had the power to conquer entire territories in Asia. The company's reach extended to the Spice Islands of Indonesia, where fortunes were made and lost. Through monopolies and aggressive tactics, the VOC reshaped global trade routes. From its origins as a chartered company, the VOC became a cornerstone of global commerce and power. VOC ships set sail under stormy skies, their sails billowing as they cut through the waves. The VOC's golden age was marked by fierce competition to control the spice trade. Caravans of camels carried spices across the desert, their hooves stirring up clouds of dust. This journey from Asia to Europe was filled with danger and riches. In the grand halls of the VOC headquarters, maps and coins were spread across tables. The company's wealth lay not just in its ships but in its meticulous records. Palaces in the east were filled with treasures from the west. The exchange of goods was reciprocal and transformed both worlds. Candlelit halls echoed with the voices of negotiators. The VOC's influence was felt in every corner of trade and politics. The trade winds of the East and West combined to create a network of wealth and power. The VOC was at the heart of this transformative era. By 1628, the VOC had grown so powerful that it maintained its own army to secure its interests in the East Indies. These private forces were not just mercenaries but a disciplined corps, tasked with protecting valuable trade routes. The army included both infantry and cavalry, ready to confront any threat to their master's interests. Their weapons and tactics were cutting edge for the time, reflecting the VOC's commitment to power. In one particularly fierce engagement, they defended a trading post against an attack by local pirates. This private army not only secured their economic empire but also contributed to the Dutch dominance in global trade. In 1654, the Dutch Republic began minting its own coins, a bold move to control trade and finance. Caravans of camels carried precious metals from the east, fueling their burgeoning economy. Palaces glittered with gold, symbols of the Republic's growing wealth and power. Candlelit halls buzzed with the sounds of commerce and politics, decisions shaping the future. The new coin soon became the currency of choice for traders across Europe and beyond. This move marked a significant shift in global finance and trade, cementing the Republic's position as a dominant economic power. In the midst of war, VOC forces clashed with local rulers and European competitors, extending their reach across the globe. Their vast trade networks allowed them to fund military campaigns, securing new territories and resources. From the spice-rich islands of the East Indies to the ports of the Mediterranean, VOC influence grew. Their military might was bolstered by well-equipped and disciplined soldiers, ensuring their dominance. These wars not only expanded their empire but also fortified the wealth and power of the Dutch Republic. Through relentless military expansion, the VOC reshaped the geopolitical landscape of their time. By the mid-17th century, the VOC had established a formidable presence in Asia, controlling trade routes that stretched from the Spice Islands to India. The company's ships navigated treacherous seas, bringing back spices and goods that fueled Europe's burgeoning economy. Caravans of camels laden with spices and silk journeyed across the desert to reach the bustling ports of the East. These caravans were the arteries of trade, connecting distant lands and bringing wealth to Europe. In the spice-rich lands of Asia, VOC agents negotiated with powerful rulers and merchants. Their influence extended beyond trade, often influencing local politics and even military decisions. Back in the Netherlands, the wealth amassed by the VOC transformed Dutch cities into centers of opulence. Streets were lined with grandiose palaces and merchants' houses, showcasing the empire's reach. The spices and goods brought by the VOC fueled a hunger for luxury among European elites. They adorned palaces and homes with treasures from the East, creating an opulent lifestyle that defined the era. The VOC's control over Asian trade routes allowed it to dictate prices and establish a monopoly that few could challenge. This global reach was the foundation of its immense power and wealth. In 1690, the Dutch East India Company's stock soared to unprecedented heights, rivaling the wealth of entire nations. VOC stock reached a staggering level, equivalent to 1/4 of all wealth in Britain at the time. The wealth of nations was now in the hands of a few, as commoners and nobles alike invested in this new economic powerhouse. This sudden influx of capital transformed not only the Dutch economy but also global trade networks and empires. The The rise of VOC stock mirrored the broader ambitions and wealth of the Dutch Republic during its golden age. The power of this wealth was not just financial, it defined the era and shaped the destiny of nations. Fierce battles raged across the Indian subcontinent as the Dutch fought to challenge British dominance in trade. Caravans of camels and merchants traveled through the deserts, carrying valuable spices and silks from India to Batavia. In the grand halls of their East India Company, the British plotted strategies to maintain control over the lucrative trade routes. Fierce naval battles left the seas red with the blood of fallen sailors, as both sides struggled for supremacy. The struggle for control over the lucrative spice trade intensified as both sides used their navies and armies to gain an edge. Despite the challenges, the Dutch East India Company's wealth and power continued to grow, challenging British dominance in the region. In the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company, or VOC, established its dominance over vast territories in Asia. Its wealth was immense, rivaling that of many nations. The VOC controlled key cities like Jakarta and Batavia, from where they shipped vast quantities of spices and silk to Europe. Their wealth was so immense that the VOC's treasury was worth more than the entire Spanish Empire at its height. The VOC's influence extended across the Indian Ocean, their caravans of camels and ships carrying precious goods to far-flung markets. Their economic might was such that the VOC's fleet could challenge any navy in the world. By the late 17th century, this golden era had reached its zenith. The VOC's wealth and power were unparalleled in history. In the opulent halls of the Grand Merchant House, whispers of betrayal filled the air as schemers plotted in secret. Corruption flourished as a few powerful figures amassed wealth through deceitful deals and forged contracts. A shadowy figure emerged from the shadows, a master of manipulation and deceit, their face obscured by darkness. Alliances shifted as key members of the council turned against each other, their loyalty tested by hidden agendas. Under the weight of their own greed, once loyal followers turned on their leader in a moment of reckless betrayal. As the dust settled, the once powerful leader lay defeated, their empire crumbling under the weight of internal strife. The VOC, once a maritime powerhouse, faced mounting debts and losses that threatened its very existence. Financial mismanagement and the loss of valuable cargoes exacerbated these challenges, pushing the company toward bankruptcy. In 1799, the VOC's financial troubles reached a critical point, leading to its formal declaration of bankruptcy. This collapse was a significant blow to the Dutch economy and imperial ambitions. The bankruptcy crisis marked the end of an era for the VOC and set the stage for new powers in global trade. Despite its fall from grace, the VOC's legacy in global commerce would continue to influence trade for centuries. In the year 1798, as Napoleon's armies marched across Europe, the Dutch government faced a critical decision. The Batavian Republic declared bankruptcy, forcing them to take control of the company's remaining assets. The directors of the VOC were summoned to The Hague. Their ships and warehouses were seized, their finances scrutinized in every detail. Among the assets taken were vast stores of silver and gold coins. The wealth accumulated over centuries was now under state control. The government took possession of the company's extensive trade networks. The last remnants of private power in colonial governance were now held by the state. With the VOC's assets nationalized, the Dutch East Indies would no longer be just a private enterprise. It became part of the broader colonial strategy. The government takeover was seen as the final step in the integration of the VOC into the Dutch state. The age of private colonial empires was drawing to a close. In the 17th century Dutch Golden Age, merchant ships laden with precious cargoes set sail from Amsterdam. The VOC's legacy of power was spread across distant shores. Amsterdam's warehouses brimmed with spices, silks, and silver from Asia. The VOC reshaped global trade networks. Across the Indian Ocean, VOC officials governed vast colonies. Their power was woven into the fabric of local economies. Cargoes from the East were not just goods, they carried ideas and cultural exchanges that would shape future empires. For centuries to come, the VOC's legacy influenced colonial powers and economic policies worldwide. The VOC's enduring legacy can be seen in the intricate networks of commerce and power that persist to this day. In the 17th century Dutch Golden Age, merchants from Amsterdam sailed across vast seas in pursuit of wealth. Their ships carried not just goods but a vision, to rule over empires and kings. One corporation rose to prominence, the VOC, or Verenigde Oost-Indische Company. Its fleet controlled trade routes from Europe to Asia. For a time, it seemed no king could challenge their power. The VOC's gold flowed like rivers through the empires they touched. But history is rewritten by those who survive. The VOC's dominance faded as new empires rose and old alliances crumbled. Today, only the legacy remains. Coins bearing their emblem tell the story of a brief moment when commerce was king. The fortune that felled kings lives on in the annals of history. What will your story add to this tapestry? If this changed how you see the past, there is more waiting for you. Watch the next story on Coin and Crown. The full collection is one click away.